Hello, all, and welcome. We are back with another episode on talent development trends, where we look at the latest trends, challenges, and strategies in talent development. Last episode, we talked about AI in talent development. In this episode, we focus on measuring success in talent development. Joining us again is Guido Minaya, CEO and Chief Learning Officer, and Susan Minaya, COO and Chief Learning Strategist with Minaya Learning Global Solutions. Stay tuned to learn more. All right, Susan and Guido, I will turn it over to you.
It is a pleasure to be back on the show, Susan. Thank you, Dario, for having us here today. Yes, and we're tackling an important topic for talent development professionals: how to measure success in learning and development programs. Measuring the impact of talent development can be a little tricky, but it's essential for proving value and securing ongoing investment. While working on my doctorate at the University of Pennsylvania, my dissertation topic covered all levels of evaluation and measurement. So it is an area I spent a lot of time in, and I love this area as an L&D professional.
That's right, Guido. In this episode, we're going to discuss the popular learning metrics, explore how organizations are calculating ROI, and share some best practices for effective measurement. And we're also going to examine how AI, of course, is transforming how we track and assess learning success. Let's dive in. So, Guido, let's start with the basics. So, what are some of the most commonly used metrics in talent development?
Well, Susan, organizations typically track employee satisfaction as a basic level, satisfaction with the training, retention rates, and the number of learning hours completed. These are useful indicators of engagement and participation, but really they don't tell the full story.
That's exactly right. And, employee satisfaction surveys are really great for gathering feedback, but they don't necessarily measure whether the learning is translating into better performance, right? Also, I've used learner confidence evaluations to kind of see like where was I before I started towards afterwards. And it's still, while important, it's not as strong a measurement. Retention rates, on the other hand, can be a strong indicator that employees feel supported in their development.
Right, that's a great point. And the number of learning hours delivered can show commitment to training, but it's really just a starting point. What we want to know is, are those hours making a difference for the organization and, as importantly, for the learner?
Yeah, definitely. So when you look at level 1, which is reaction, right? Level 2, which is learning, level 3, which is application, level 4, which is the business metrics, right? So I think what you're talking about really brings us to ROI, return on investment. So Guido, how can organizations measure whether learning initiatives are actually improving business outcomes?
One of the most effective ways is to track, let's say, cycle time reduction. If employees can complete a task faster or more efficiently after training, that's a direct impact that can be measured. Similarly, measuring productivity improvements like an increase in sales, improvement in customer satisfaction, improvement in patient experience for a healthcare organization, or operational efficiency can provide strong evidence of training effectiveness.
Right. What you're talking about is performance, right? So, what is the outcome of that? So, if you're making an investment in people being out of production for a week or so, or maybe even a day, what are we gaining from that from an employee performance perspective? And I think that's really important. So, it could be I sell more, as you're talking about, my satisfaction scores are higher from customers and things like that. So, those are metrics that matter for leaders in the organization that have accountability for business results. So, for example, if a leadership program results in fewer escalations or conflicts, it shows a real return on investment because we're having less of those with the leaders that were trained that way because they learned about it and they're more effective there. Organizations also can look at financial indicators such as cost savings from improved processes or reduced errors on the job.
Right. And corporate performance is another important factor for the C-suite, our investors, and other key stakeholders. If learning programs contribute to revenue growth, innovation, or market expansion, that's a clear proof of value.
Yeah, definitely so. When we work with clients, it's really impressing upon them the importance of aligning learning outcomes to business goals from the very start of the program, right? So, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about when that happens, and that's where strong measurement strategies come into play. So, Guido, let's talk strategy since we're here. What are some best practices for measuring the success of talent development programs?
First, let's set a clear learning objective that aligns with key business goals. So if you're training customer service teams, measure improvements in customer satisfaction scores. If it's, as you mentioned a little earlier, if it's a leadership program, potentially track promotion rates or team engagement.
Yeah, so what you're talking about is quantitative data, right? So these are hard numbers that we can actually relate back to business goals. But also important is qualitative. And a lot of times, qualitative measurements, learning organizations tend to get stuck there with more like the reaction surveys and things without adding the quantitative piece. Really, if we look at it, the best practice is using a mix of quantitative and qualitative data. So you were just talking about quantitative data, but also qualitative is important too. So you can't discount things like surveys from the reaction level 1. And I think business metrics, which gets into level 4 and also ROI level 5, all really contribute to a well rounded measurement and evaluation system.
Yeah, and let's also remember that technology plays a big part, right? They're continuously improving learning management systems that can now not only track completion rates, assessment scores, and even skill growth over time. And now, with some of the learning experience platforms, they can incorporate competency assessments into their reporting metrics. So, pairing LMS and LXP data with business outcomes can be a very strong, clear picture of success.
Yeah, definitely. So, and it's important for organizations to really establish those feedback loops. And that's really done at the front end of any learning intervention that you're creating. So all of your measurement criteria really get defined upfront before you even start building the training. So it's very important. And I think the main thing here too is that sometimes, especially with business data, you have to align with the business about how are you going to get that data back so that you could track it and use it in your scorecards that you're sharing with the business for the results that you're getting.
Yes, this is highly important. And now with the advent of AI, analyzing data has become much easier.
It's a great point and also a passion point for you, isn't it, Guido? So, given your recent work in the AI space, assisting companies with AI solutions, what have you seen in terms of AI's impact on measuring success in talent development?
Well, AI is revolutionizing a number of sectors, including the L&D space. Learning measurement in several ways is being transformed by AI. So, as an example, AI-driven learning analytics can provide predictive insights, helping organizations identify employees who may need additional support before performance issues arise, or in preparation for them going live if they're new to the organization.
Yeah, that's such a powerful tool when you think about it. So, what about AI's role in personalizing learning?
Yes, great question. Well, AI can tailor experiences to individual needs, and that's done by analyzing employee performance data. AI powered platforms recommend targeted training, ensuring employees get the right content just at the right time.
Yeah, most definitely. The tailored learning experiences are really the trend, right? So, and as an individual learner, I want to learn what's relevant for me because of the stickiness factor it has because I need to know it versus me having to learn because it's a required training or something like that. There's a place for that, but I think where you get the biggest impact is when whatever you're learning is very personalized for what you need. Are there any other innovations in AI driven measurement that you've been coming across?
Well, yes, I think one of the most exciting opportunities, right, is that many of our learning organizations have so much data on student feedback, satisfaction, and data that's very difficult to filter through, analyze, and determine how to make improvements in a course, right? Now, with AI, that kind of analysis, that kind of data analytics is done, at the click of a button. So AI can enhance learning evaluation even through sentiment analysis, let's say in surveys, patient experience, learner satisfaction, employee satisfaction. All of that is now possible and done much more easily. Tracking employee engagement, even in real time, is also possible. So it helps us automate ROI tracking by linking learning data to business performance metrics to business strategy. So whether it's sales performance, customer retention, or operational efficiency, now all of that data can come to life and line up around the pillars of the strategy that have been developed by the organization.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking when you were talking about that, when we talked about the qualitative and quantitative, even the sentiment surveys become, even though they're kind of qualitative because it's how do you feel, it's actually quantitative because we use a Likert scale or something to measure it. So it's kind of interesting how we have that balance of the qualitative and the quantitative in that approach. So with AI, what you're saying is that organizations can really move beyond traditional metrics and get a more dynamic real-time view. I think that's the key here of how learning is impacting performance.
Exactly. AI allows us to measure learning success in ways that were previously impossible. It brings data-driven decisions to talent development like never before. And I think what I've come to learn about it is it gives you insights into what you may want to develop in terms of a curricula for the future based on now having very, very solid data to back up why you're moving in a direction of a transformed learning curriculum. So it is going to continue to improve operations given that we know how to leverage that data.
Great. So we've kind of covered a lot on the topic of measurement today, Guido. And, what I'm walking away with is measuring success in talent development is about more than just tracking hours. It's about proving impact and making strategic decisions.
Absolutely. So whether you're looking at employee sat, retention, productivity, or financial outcomes, the key is to align learning with business objectives and now more and more precisely measure what truly matters. And don't forget, just keep learning about how AI tools can assist your learning organization and keep leading because we are, in essence, the leaders of that learning culture. And let's all make a measurable impact on our organizations.
All right. Well, thank you, Susan and Guido, for an insightful conversation on measuring success in talent development. In our next episode, we'll be looking at learning and organizational culture. Until next time.